Big updates this morning here on Forever United TV. Manchester United fans, get into the live comment section. We're talking about them blockbuster stories that dropped late last night regarding both Manchester United captain Bruno Fernandes and young starlets and future of Manchester United. We'll see on that one. Kobbie Mainoo. Big stories coming out from different stories on both of them players in different circumstances completely. We're going to fully concentrate on that this morning and get loads of comments in the live chats. Get interactive, people. Give me your thoughts on both Bruno and Kobbie Mainoo. I want to start with the Kobbie Mainoo side of things, though. I've got a poll running right now. I just wanted to gauge where the Manchester United fan base was at. Our subscribers and people tuning in this morning here on Forever United TV in particular on Kobbie Mainoo. Simple question. Are you concerned that Kobbie Mainoo is looking away from Manchester United? The question really sums up quite a few different scenarios here for Manchester United. Are you concerned that our best young players are all leaving the football club? Are you concerned that Kobbie Mainoo is looking elsewhere from Manchester United because he doesn't see a future? Are you concerned that Ruben Amorim is not playing Kobbie Mainoo, therefore he wants to leave Manchester United? Which way do you want to look at it? Put it into one answer, a yes or a no. Some people might be there and saying, no, I don't care, fight for your place. This is Manchester United. Get into that poll and get into the comment section. We'll start with Kobbie. There is that big news on Bruno Fernandes. Another update on the Saudi friendlies as well coming up this morning. But first of all, Kobbie and where we're at. Sully, last night, he messaged me last night. In fact, we was talking privately about the Bruno Fernandes situation and what might be happening there with him. And he messaged me and said, I'm just about to drop some exclusive news right now, and it is absolutely genuine. This is happening. He has been on top of the Kobbie situation from the get-go. As you remember, last time, Kobbie Mainoo's story regarding him looking like the model pro and his people behind him really pushing that side of things and not wanting people to start getting this opinion of Kobbie Mainoo like he's another problem at United. He doesn't want to leave. He wants to play for Manchester United but can't see his way back into the side. Some staff members at Manchester United actually flabbergasted as to how much game time he's actually getting. Not fair. Sully was speaking to me last night on this situation. He said he cannot figure it out, and the people that he's speaking to are of the same. They just don't understand the Kobbie Mainoo situation. That's the big thing in this whole situation right now. Kobbie training, doing everything right, doing everything he possibly can. And now what? Are we 7 games into the Premier League season? 0 starts for Kobbie Mainoo. I've used examples before about Ruben Amorim really showing faith and trust in certain players, even if they're sat on the sidelines. For instance, last season, Ruben Amorim had left Casemiro as an unused substitute for 7 straight games. We're now into that realm. We're now into that period. Casemiro knuckled down, got on with it, and showed how professional he was, and proved to be a key part for Ruben Amorim, and has played a key part this season already. If you like his form or if you think he's good enough or not, he's a go-to for Ruben Amorim when the big games come around. Kobbie Mainoo now is entering game week 8 with no starts. That's worrying. We're all talking about Carlos Baleba coming to Manchester United. In the 7 games in the Premier League this season, he's been subbed off or been on the bench every single game. We're talking about Kobbie Mainoo here not starting a game for 7 straight Premier League games. That's the difference here and how drastic this situation is. The internal, we could call it an internal war at Manchester United. It's like train hard, train hard, train hard, show your commitment, show your commitment. Even Manchester United staff and Manchester United are allowing news stories like this to be put out in the public, and they would have allowed these stories to go out in public as well, so they can make it look like Kobbie Mainoo, one of their own, is actually grafting and working. They don't want it to look like there's any internal problems, but everyone will build their own opinions of this because Kobbie is not playing games. That's the main thing. We can look at stories and decide amongst ourselves whether we feel like they are genuine, whether we feel like they're fabricated and made up. But the reality is there in front of everybody. You cannot argue with the facts. Facts and stats are there for Kobbie when it comes to game time. It's minimal, very minimal. And that, I think, is where we can all summarise and say there is obviously some kind of issue with Kobbie Mainoo and Ruben Amorim. It doesn't go on this long without game time when you have got a talent like that who has featured in multiple internationals now and international tournaments. He has been one of them players that Manchester United fans look at and go, this could be the future of this football club. But talking to Sully last night, he said he doesn't get it. He doesn't. And he is starting to get wound up and fed up. There was news leaking out last night, and we touched on it briefly, about Kobbie Mainoo looking away. Napoli still interested in him. Newcastle, obviously Chelsea, still interested in him as well. There's been a few other clubs that might want to take Kobbie Mainoo on loan. I think Everton have also been rumoured to be looking at Kobbie Mainoo. There are plenty of teams that Kobbie Mainoo will feel he could go to and then play regular and get into the mindset and the thought process of Thomas Tuchel to be involved in that World Cup squad come the summer. That's where Kobbie Mainoo's head is at. I said it and I kept on saying it. I said it last night briefly again. Just expect more and more to come. I just didn't expect it to come this soon. Only in the first week of October gone. I was thinking maybe December. If Kobbie isn't playing a lot, expect his agency to really start pushing the narrative that he's being mistreated and unfairly treated at Manchester United. It's coming out internally already through Manchester United that Kobbie is actually feeling like he is never going to get into this Man United side. And therefore, the story that we're talking about now is that Sully broke last night an exclusive that Kobbie Mainoo is looking elsewhere and is fully hoping to get a move away from Manchester United in January if his game time does not change at Manchester United. I cannot see him featuring in the next international break either. I just look at them games and you judge what Ruben Amorim has done already and kind of decide whether you feel Kobbie's got a chance or not. Well, I don't think he does. I don't think he does get a chance to start in any of them games. We will be going in, and I guarantee this, we will be going into the next international break in November, the last one of the calendar year, and Kobbie will not be included in Tuchel's squad. That is a definite. I can tell you that right now. He's not going to play against Liverpool unless Ruben Amorim, we discussed this last night actually, Ruben Amorim looks at Ugarte and Casemiro, the last players back from international break, and they might need a little bit more recovery time. Therefore, Kobbie is the only option for Ruben Amorim because he's fit and he's not travelled and he will partner Bruno Fernandes. That is a risky game to play, obviously, against Liverpool because you've got two unnatural holding midfielders playing against that juggernaut of a strike force, whether they're out of form or not. We're expecting a storm to come from Liverpool and a bit of a bounce back. Do you really want Kobbie and Bruno in your side there? I don't think Ruben's going to go down that road. I think he'll give them two foreign players, as in the South American contingent, Ugarte and Casemiro, every single chance to get themselves prepared and ready to play in that game against Liverpool. So I'm not thinking that Kobbie Mainoo here has got zero chance of getting into that Manchester United side. I just think there is very little chance that he's getting in. And that, I feel, is exactly where the situation is at. Kobbie Mainoo right now, I don't think plays against Liverpool, doesn't play against Brighton, doesn't play against Nottingham Forest or Spurs. And I think Sully's story last night, I think he's now getting to the point where it's starting to cut deep with Kobbie and he doesn't see his future at Manchester United. He didn't see it before this transfer window closed. United, some would say, look like they're punishing him right now for wanting away from the football club. I mean, where are we actually at right now? I'll look at the poll and where people are voting on this. And please do get your comments in below as well. When we have finished the live show, get your comments in on the comments section on this. In terms of this poll anyway, are you concerned Mainoo wants out of United? 53% of you have said yes, and 47% are on the no. Some people are just not bothered anymore. They've seen enough from these players. It is this player attitude of, I feel like I should be playing games that a lot of the Manchester United fan base cannot take and don't want to listen to anymore. I mean, you could argue for Kobbie all day long about the Bruno Fernandes situation and him playing ahead of him. That is a good point. Funnily enough, Bruno Fernandes is our next story from the one that Indy broke last night about Bruno going in the summer. We'll talk about that in a moment. But first of all, I want to get some of your comments and some of your thoughts on the Kobbie story in the live chats anyway. Savage says Mainoo is not special. Is not special than others. Zirkzee also is not getting any chance. We will see how powerful Mainoo is. Laugh out loud. He's not going anywhere. Oh. Kobbie Mainoo will not leave United in January unless a replacement is signed, says Graham. Mark says, hi Adam, how can Kobbie fight for his place in the team if Bruno always plays and Ruben Amorim won't drop him? Bruno has had bad games and still plays. This is like them 3 comments there. How powerful is Kobbie Mainoo? I don't see Kobbie Mainoo going anywhere. Graham said, that's from Savage. Graham says Kobbie Mainoo isn't leaving unless Manchester United get a replacement. And there you go again with Mark there. He says that how can Kobbie Mainoo fight for his place when it's an unfair fight? Look, I said this before. If United are winning games, Kobbie Mainoo doesn't even get brought up. I think what we've got going on here is a big game, one of Manchester United's biggest rivals. He didn't feature against Manchester City. He's not going to feature against Liverpool. Manchester United have played all of the top 4 from last season already, and Kobbie Mainoo just hasn't started any of them games. He's not in the manager's thinking. These are the biggest games of the season. After this next game, Manchester United already in the first 8 games of the season have played Liverpool, Arsenal, Manchester City and Chelsea, and Kobbie started none of them games. They're the games, if you are a key part of Manchester United's side, or of any sides, any team, in fact, in the Premier League, they're the games that you would look to and go, right, okay, where do I stand in the pecking order? The fact that he played Agate ahead of him in some of them big games as well is, I feel, where Kobbie Mainoo is at right now. How can he fight for his place if he's not going to get in ahead of Bruno Fernandes? He's never going to get in ahead of Bruno. To be honest, if I was picking a player to play in that position right now, I don't think I'd pick any of them players. I said this last night. I don't think any of them are up for playing in a 2-man midfield for all different reasons. Kobbie's not natural, Bruno's not natural, Agate's not good enough, and Casemiro can't last 90 minutes. So all 4 of Man United's midfielders right now are not capable of playing in a midfield too. And that's the situation that Ruben's created. And that's why a lot of people look at Ruben like what Mark has there and say, how can Kobbie fight for his place when he's up against Bruno Fernandes, who never gets dropped, even if he's having a stinker? That is a point that a lot of United fans will look at in this. Bruno is the biggest problem in this side for a few reasons. I'm not saying anything against Bruno Fernandes with that, but right now, because of Ruben Amorim, Bruno Fernandes is a problem for other players because everybody has to partner him. Everybody has to play a different role and think differently because Bruno's playing in that position. If Bruno was up in 10, then the back line and the midfield would be a lot more organised, in my opinion. I just don't like him there. But in Kobbie's case, where does he go from here? Let's get a few more comments on this. Amorim doesn't like Kobbie. Kobbie will be here longer than the manager. Well, this is the thing now. It is going to depend on, like I said, if United keep on winning games. If United win games, Kobbie becomes irrelevant. But if he loses and starts losing badly and losing consistently now going into the back end of autumn, heading into December, then Mainoo is going to start looking at this a little bit differently. Will Ruben last until January? So I think there's a case here that Kobbie's lashing out a little bit. Stories are being leaked. It's like, find me a place in this side. If I'm doing everything that I've been asked, which is what's being reported from Carrington, and then how do I get into the side? How can I prove my worth? If I know that even if I come on off the bench and play well, like he did against City, I've got no chance whatsoever of playing in the next game because he's just going to drop me for Bruno again and go back to that default starter in midfield. That's what Kobbie's looking at. So again, it's like feelers go out, noises come out from United, let everybody know how he feels, let everybody know that he's still training hard and working his ass off, but of course, that works both ways. It's like United putting it out, making sure that everybody knows that Kobbie's not kicking up a stink, but he's unhappy, as you naturally would be as a pro footballer. And obviously, people that might be looking at Kobbie Mainoo to possibly take him on loan in January will be looking at him going, well, in all of this, we feel like he's been mistreated as well, but at least he's been professional about it and is therefore appealing to a few other suitors in the Premier League or European football. It is complicated. Christopher says, sorry, just read that one out there. Neither does Bruno Fernandes, and yet he gets to play after every stink he puts in. This is people talking amongst each other here about the difference between Bruno and Kobbie Mainoo. Again, it's the argument for the... It's an argument for Bruno Fernandes, Ruben Amorim and Kobbie Mainoo. That situation that's developing. A lot of fans will back Kobbie Mainoo on this because he isn't going to get a chance in the side, and everybody knows he's not going to get a chance in the side. That, I think, is a big thing in this argument as well. Mainoo never gave me the vibe. His vibe, he's going to be a world beater, says Daz. Has Kobbie signed a new contract? Maybe this is the standoff. The standoff with a contract is beyond this point, to be honest, now I feel. I think, personally, it feels like Kobbie is being punished for wanting away in the last week of the summer transfer window. That's what I feel anyway. It looks that way. Look, Ruben can say, look, he's got a big plan for Kobbie Mainoo. A big plan a year down the line is not good enough for a player that wants to play week in, week out. And that's probably Kobbie's argument with that. Like, words are words, but I know I'm going to be dropped onto the bench for the Liverpool game, even though I'm fully fit and ready to go. And other players are probably more tired from international duty. It's a big test for Ruben and the Kobbie situation come Liverpool, because, like I said, you've got Ugarte and Casemiro, who will be the last back off international duty, and probably a little bit more wary than what Kobbie would be. He trains all week at Carrington, he's fully prepared, he's fit, he's ready to go, and he still gets put on the bench, even though there is fatigue and a lack of stamina in them other players when you look at what they've done throughout the week. That's the biggest tell that Ruben is just not going to use Kobbie Mainoo for me. He did it with Manchester City, and he played Ugarte. Liverpool coming off, if he plays Ugarte again ahead of Kobbie Mainoo in this one, then I will be absolutely flabbergasted. I'll be shocked. The worst case scenario for Liverpool is Casemiro plays. But if he does what he did against Manchester City, Ruben Amorim, I feel, will be really, really putting himself at a disadvantage going into that game against Liverpool. Let's see what we've got. Mainoo can't defend well. He needs a top a DM behind him first. Again, the three-man midfield is how Kobbie works, and that's how Ruben Amorim sees it. Have a look at the Grimsby game. He played the full game with Bruno on the bench, and it was a nightmare. Well, no, Bruno came on at half-time in that one, Nelson. And Manchester United battered Grimsby in the second half, as we know. And Kobbie was a part of it. I think he got an assist in that game also. But, again, the argument and debate is there amongst Manchester United fans. Like, nobody can definitely say that Kobbie should be in, and nobody can definitely say Kobbie should be out of this side. It's a difficult one. But I think like I said at the start, it's there for everybody to see. This is now 7 games not used, not starting for Manchester United. No starts in 2 months of football for Kobbie Mainoo that's not looking good for him. It's not looking good for his people. And they're going to continue to drive these stories out of Manchester United, leaking stories about him being unhappy. But that is the headline on Kobbie Mainoo. He wants out in January. He's looking for a move, a low move preferably. He doesn't feel like he's going to get any game time under Ruben Amorim, and he's already putting the feelers out for potential moves away. We heard about a few of them yesterday. That's Kobbie Mainoo. Let's move on to that story about Bruno Fernandes. And this is a little bit more of a far-out story, to be honest, that Indy broke last night. Kind of what we've been talking about all season and all summer already, really, when you break it down. And that is that Bruno Fernandes has already signed a deal to leave for the Saudi Pro League in the summer. He will leave for £100 million, Indy says. The source is guaranteed. Well, not guaranteed. The source is very, very creditable and is guaranteeing them that that deal is already done and signed. Bruno is gone in the summer. If we can get £100 million for a 31-year-old, then bang, we're in business going into the summer transfer window. Let's not forget, that's all profit for United because we owe nothing on the Bruno Fernandes transfer, and that's a massive wage gone. That for Manchester United is approximately 120 million quid in wages and transfer fee that can be reinvested back into the club. And the story on top of that is that Man United want to buy both Carlos Baleba and Elliot Anderson this summer. Now, it just feels like that story. I'm not going to big it up to be something that it really isn't. Bruno, we know about. Carlos Baleba is a target, we know. And Elliot Anderson has been talked about as a United potential target. Can we get both of them in? It just looks like all of the news that was circulating and going around has been thrown into one story, and a blockbuster post has come out to make it look like a major headline, I feel. 100 million for Bruno Fernandes is probably the only surprise in that headline for me. 100 million after that's what was offered last summer, a year on, and you're still getting 100 million, then I'm happy with the price. I'm happy that that deal is happening because United do need to look to reinvest money, and we are looking to move forward. We can't rely on Bruno Fernandes or keep him around forever, no matter how professional he is and how good he is for the football club. We know we have to move on at some point, and to get 100 million and that be a record transfer for Manchester United in the club's history, that is, thank you very much, Bruno Fernandes. Let's go out and spend that money. And that money apparently is going on Carlos Baleba and Elliot Anderson, according to Index. Now, do I think we can get both of them players? Honestly, no, I don't at this moment. Do I think 100 million is going to be able to get us them players? 100% it will, because we're not obviously looking here at Manchester United trying to get Baleba and Elliot Anderson for 100 million. No, the transfer fees will be a lot more. You're probably getting closer to 150 to 170 million for both of them players, realistically, if you're going off what transfer inflation is and what the market is like at the moment. That's what Anderson and Baleba would fetch for Manchester for their club selling for Manchester United to pay. So, again, it is all in the structure of the deal, but a deal from Saudi with Manchester United being able to bring in 100 million for Bruno Fernandes on top of Rasmus Højlund and inevitably Marcus Rashford also. Manchester United in transfer fees coming into the football club are already well in excess of 160 million, plus whatever else Manchester United make off different deals for players being released and wages saved. It is astronomical amounts of money for Manchester United. And going into the summer, if this happens, Manchester United will have a kitty in excess of 300 million to spend on transfers if they wanted. That's how much that brings to Manchester United. That's how much it will bring in for United if Bruno Fernandes is sold, on top of Rasmus Højlund and obviously Marcus Rashford again. And let's not forget, in that, you have got there, in terms of outlay and what we owe, Rasmus Højlund is more than covered with a tiny bit of profit with that transfer fee after 3 years for him. Let's not forget we got a loan fee as well for Rasmus Højlund. So that is covering his fee. We owe nothing on Rashford. That's pure profit. We owe nothing on Bruno. 100% profit there for him as well. All of a sudden, Manchester United have got a fortune to spend in the summer. And apparently it's going to be Elliot Anderson and Carlos Baleba. Them two players are obviously up for debate at the moment as well. I said this last night. If Manchester United were going to go out and buy a midfielder right now, out of the ones that we're being linked with, Carlos Baleba is bottom of the pile for me right now, out of Wharton, Elliot Anderson and himself. I would go for Elliot Anderson and Wharton first. I don't like what's happening with Carlos Baleba. We just spoke a moment ago about Baleba not finishing a 90 minutes yet this season. We're looking at bringing in a 21-year-old who hasn't finished one game this season. And Brighton have had probably one of their worst starts to a season in the past 3 to 4 years. Something isn't quite right there, and Hertzler has already identified a problem in Carlos Baleba that Manchester United could easily swerve here. If they're fully convinced on the player, then I don't think there's any point in us even discussing it. But if there is any football nous or football knowledgeable people working in that recruitment team at United, which there is obviously, then you're looking at Carlos Baleba and you're looking at him completely differently than what you did in the summer. His head has completely spun, and I just don't rate the player as much as what we did in the summer from last season's performances. This is now, like I said, like Kobbie Mainoo's situation, the timescale. You're not talking about a flash in a pan off spell here. This is 2 months worth of Premier League football that Carlos Baleba has been really non-contributional at all to Brighton. To be hauled off before at half-time, be put on the bench for the starts of games, this does not look good for Carlos Baleba, in my opinion. That's the big story that you could say. That's your blockbuster story. 100 million for Bruno Fernandes, and then you're looking at bringing in Elliot Anderson and Carlos Baleba with that money for Manchester United. That would completely change Man United's midfield, by the way. All of a sudden, And that would be blockbuster for Manchester United. And them two players, from what I know and what I've been told and what has been reported also, they are with or without Ruben Amorim signings. So Manchester United themselves, within the structure of the recruitment team, are still pushing for them signings. And Manchester United could even be tempted, with the knowledge of what is coming up financially for them, to go in and try in January for one of these midfield targets as well. I personally cannot see one of them particular players coming in January. I think it's too much money. And I don't think Manchester United would get the deal that they want. Because if we go in for an Anderson or a Baleba or a Wharton or any of that type of player, we really go in for him. And I'm not saying we can't go in for them. But if we did, we pay a premium because it's mid-season. And they don't want to sell their players mid-season. It's not in their plans. The summer transfer window will be massive for Manchester United. January, United need to be clever. Need to be very, very clever. This is why I've talked about Sekou Kone, potentially Jimmy Thwaites. Them moving up into Manchester United first team training could be key, and they could feature for Manchester United at some point in the back end of this season. Because I don't know if United are. I think they're actively going to be looking in January, but I don't know if they're going to be able to get the players that they want in January. I'm pretty certain it's going to be a difficult transfer window to get any business done. So, yes, again, as much as I want it to happen, I'm convinced that it will be difficult. And it's like what people have said. I think it was Graham in the chat a moment ago. I'm going to come to the live chat in a minute as well, everybody. Like Graham just said, Kobbie only leaves if Manchester United bring in a replacement. They need another midfielder because we haven't got enough as it is. And where Kobbie Mainoo might be upset about not getting game time at Manchester United, we still need to have bodies in there to come in and play. 4 central midfielders for 2 spots is not enough. When them games start stacking up in December, the FA Cup creeps in and United are actually playing a few more games throughout the weeks as well. It's a busy turn. Obviously, once we get rid of the international breaks, which is the last one is next month, obviously. Once that's done, it's full-on games for Manchester United. In fact, it's 1 week where Man United play 3 games in 8 days in December. So it is going to start getting a little bit more intense regarding fixtures and how much games we've got. So 4 midfielders going into December, then into January, and if Kobbie wants out, there needs to be someone else coming in for Manchester United. We just don't have the players there to deal with that situation. All right, let's get into some of these comments. I've got a few super chats just to run through quickly. Robbie, first of all, with the first one, he says, Kobbie probably doesn't fit the 3-4-3 system. No, it's 100% he doesn't fit it, and Ruben does not want to play him in that system at all. Raga, welcome to the Members Club, my friend. Anchor with the super chat says, how much has he done to be concerned? How much has he done to be concerned, as in Kobbie Mainoo? Look, this is the question I wanted to pose. That is a question straight back at me there. Has Kobbie Mainoo done enough for Man United fans to be concerned that he wants out? A lot of people in the chat, and we have done this several times on a few shows now, would say not concerned at all because he hasn't proved that he is a guaranteed starter for Manchester United. He has got potential and some. But again, he was also part of a big situation last season where United had their worst ever Premier League season. And you would always look back at that and say, what Manchester United player really warrants being given a new deal or a guaranteed starting spot when you have all played your part? And Kobbie started 17 games for Ruben Amorim last season in the Premier League. We won 4 of them games that Kobbie started. There is nobody in this, and I'm not just pinpointing Kobbie there. I'm just bringing that up because Kobbie obviously is the topic right now. But there's not one Man United player in that squad that can say, I deserve to be starting week in, week out. And that's the argument that a lot of fans have probably got with Ruben over the Bruno situation as well. Why does he keep playing? He has just been as bad as everybody else. So why don't Kobbie get a go ahead of Bruno? That's that argument. But in terms of Kobbie staying, and like what Anchor says there with the super chat, it's like, well, no, he hasn't done enough. And I've always been of this opinion of Kobbie Mainoo. I love him. I like the fact that he is working his ass off and trying to get back in the side. I can see the the tension between Ruben and him and the situation, and I can understand the argument that it might not seem fair on him right now with Bruno Fernandes, but I'll always be of this opinion, like I was last season when he was playing, and we were debating whether a Kobbie Mainoo was worth 180 grand a week wages. The Athletic now coming out and saying that it's 200 grand a week wages that his agent is trying to get from Manchester United. That, I feel, is where I draw the line with Kobbie. You're not getting that contract, mate. And if you feel like you have to leave, you have to leave. Even if he loves Manchester United, there's got to come a point where enough is enough. Like, you sign the deal that United have got on the table and we move forward from here. He's not going to get that blockbuster deal. And while Ruben's not using him, what do you think Ineos are going to be thinking of this? This player wants 200 grand a week. He's definitely worth 200 grand a week. He started how many games this season? None. All right, forget that. We're talking about Maguire on 190 grand a week, wanting a new deal at the end of this season. And Ineos trying to cut that down by 3/4 maybe, if he wants to stay. There's no way that Ineos are going to give Kobbie that deal. And I fear for the future of Kobbie at Manchester United. I wanted to see more. I've not seen enough yet. And pretty much that's the reason why I wanted to see more. I don't think we're going to see more, because he's not going to get that game time that he wants on that one anyway. Just a little too probably detailed kind of response to that super chat there. Sorry, Anchor, but he's come with another one. This was a player who asked for crazy money. Bruno at least gives his all, and I don't think he fits there. I'd rather buy someone. I would rather buy someone else. Bruno's time is up, says Robbie. Sell Bruno in January, he says there. 2 super chats. The problem with that is, who do you bring in then? Is there anyone available? Like we just said, we could sell Bruno in January, but we're still going to have to pay massive amounts of money to bring somebody else in. Unless you put Kobbie there and then bring one of the academy players through, you're really stretching things then. Really stretching, because Kobbie does not have the engine that Bruno does. Kobbie needs 2 players, I think, around him to fit, which is why it fit and why he works so well with Gareth Southgate's England side. I just don't like Kobbie Mainoo on his own in there. I don't think he's mobile enough, and I think that's been everyone's problem with Kobbie Mainoo. Probably the one criticism that they've got is he just cannot get up and down the pitch as an 8 in the Premier League with how intense it is. If he had cover there, Kobbie's a weapon. If you had a 3-man midfield, Kobbie could play every single game. But we haven't got that. And Ruben, like he said, he's not going to change his system. So Kobbie could maybe fit into the number 10s and drop in like Mason Mount did at weekend. But then again, Ruben has got his favourites ahead of him. Both Mount and Cunha are ahead of Kobbie Mainoo in them 10 positions. So, again, situation develops and it doesn't look any better for Kobbie. Captain dropped, ? Media will go wild. That's why. He can drop his captain. He can drop Bruno Fernandes. And I don't think he's concerned about what the media are thinking about that decision either, to be honest. But again, it is going to be the decisive move. That's going to be the big X factor move for Ruben Amorim. If Bruno ever does get put on the bench, people would stand up and really, really notice on that one. They would. And that would get people really interested. Do you know what? I actually feel like if Ruben ever did do that there'd be a lot of doubters about Ruben that would start to obviously look at him differently also. That would be a massive move for him. I don't think he's going to do it. But look, we will see, won't we? Stephanie says, hybrid of Bruno and Mainoo still wouldn't work. Both weak defensively. Again, kind of agree with that one. Can't really argue with that. Stephen says, Amorim, it will be sacked soon, so Mainoo might get a start. Depends who comes in, though. Because, again, it has to be a 3-man midfield. Ruben has been working one-to-one with Kobbie. He's trying to develop him into a midfielder he wants. Bruno will go next summer and Mainoo will be ready to take over that midfield. Well, Lindsay, I don't think so. Because United are looking to buy midfielders in that will come into that role and he will be put on the back burner again. I think this is why we're getting these noises. Because Kobbie Mainoo, You can try and turn him into a player that you want, but if you're selling Bruno for 100 million, you're not going to replace him with Kobbie Mainoo. You're going to go and spend that money and then bring someone better in, who's better than Kobbie Mainoo and Bruno Fernandes for that role. And that's where Kobbie Mainoo then really gets pushed aside. Because the future, as you look at it, put yourself in Kobbie's shoes right now. As you're looking at this situation, you're thinking, United are going to go out and buy 2 midfielders. Bruno's ahead of me now. So even when Bruno leaves, there's 2 more men coming in that are probably going to be ahead of me in that role as well. And I'm already behind the likes of Manuel Ugarte as it is. And the 10s that are in right now. So you're not replacing the 10s, but you've already got enough 10s. Bruno Fernandes is going, whoa, yes, here we go, here's my chance. But then 2 more central midfielders, 8s and 6s, are coming into United, and they're going to automatically be ahead of Kobbie Mainoo because you wouldn't spend the money on them and bench them. You're going to play them. And therefore, Kobbie Mainoo's looking at this, and him and his agent are probably saying, yeah, time's up, really. How do we get back in this side? We've given everything that we possibly can. How long can a player wait? That's the question right now, isn't it? Let's get some more comments in on this. By the way, everybody, don't forget, on Thursday, tomorrow, we have the England versus Wales watch-along here straight after here on FUTV. We're going to be live on Football Talks right after that. Earlier show here on FUTV tomorrow, leading right into that England-Wales game. So come and join us for that one on Football Talks tomorrow, everybody. Don't miss out on that. We are going to be covering that quite early as well. So looking forward to that one. As internationals go, them sort of games probably intrigue me a little bit more. But that's an England side, again, sadly, with no Man United players in it. That's like what Wayne Rooney was talking about yesterday. Cannot believe that, by the way. Still, but comments, let's get them in, everybody. Radu says, yes, but hopefully we get Europe, so more games and you need a squad. Casemiro will leave also, so you only have Ugarte and Mainoo. We need 2 more. We need that squad, Radu, 100%. Hopefully, like you said, mate, we are in Europe, some form of Europe, because Man United cannot survive, and it's been proven this season already, we cannot survive with just 1 game a week. It's just not viable, and it isn't affordable for Manchester United. They need them gate receipts. They need them games at Old Trafford. They need that prize money, whatever it may be. And I think this is the pressure. And this will come down on Ruben Amorim as well. So Jim Radcliffe, Ineos, will be looking at this and going, we will give this man all the backing and all the chance that we can, but we are going to need European football next season. There will be some form of plan past November. Look, I fully believe that Ruben Amorim now will get past the 1st of November because of this. The win against Sunderland has given him so much space. He will get past that first year at Manchester United. But I still think that his job is nowhere near safe. And 1 win against Sunderland, as much as we praised it and lauded it up, I do feel is nowhere near sufficient to convince Manchester United fans and even Ineos right now that Ruben's the right man going forward. So that, again, European football, like Radu says there, we definitely need it. And if we get European football and maybe even gets your Europa League football like we did, like that's, I feel like it's got to be our target for this season, then we do need a squad. We will be able to rotate and Kobbie will get more game time. It's if he's willing to wait. He's fully looking ahead at the World Cup. I'm telling you now, he wants to be part of that World Cup and wants to be in and amongst it. And as a young player, you would do. I'm not taking that away from him. But he's got years on his side, and I don't think Ruben Amorim is even thinking about a young player's personal career right now. He's thinking of what's going to work for him. His job is on the line. Kobbie will continue forever and a day, and you're always going to get players kicking up a stink because they're not playing. But what Ruben has to do here is look at what he's got in front of him for himself and what he needs to do to survive at Manchester United, because if he is going into huge games that are going to determine whether he stays or leaves United, is he going to play players that are not looking like they believe in him? No, he's not. And he could probably argue that was Kobbie Mainoo because he wanted out before the season had pretty much got started. And this was 3 games in? The Fulham game, the Arsenal game, and the Grimsby game. The Grimsby game in which he started as well. At that point, Kobbie had started one of the 3 games and featured just in the other 2, and he wanted out then. So Ruben's not going to go to him and say he's a go-to man. This man wanted out in United's time of need, and that might be how Ruben looks at it. And he's not going to pick him. So, yeah, Ruben comes first in Ruben's eyes ahead of Kobbie Mainoo's game time and what he might need to get into that Tuchel team for the World Cup with England. So, yeah, that's what we're looking at. So this internal war at Manchester United is between Kobbie Mainoo and Ruben Amorim. I think it is personal at this point because he isn't picking him at all. And I think Kobbie's got his own agenda and Ruben Amorim's got his. And they don't meet in the middle. Ruben's plan for Kobbie is in the future, and Kobbie can't wait, doesn't want to wait. And this is why we're hearing, and again, just look at the facts. Kobbie's not playing. He's already asked for a move away from Manchester United. That's official. And the same noises are happening now because he's not playing and wants a move away in January also, like Sully reported. So that's the big problem for United right now. He's finding the best for both. But I just don't think Kobbie Mainoo fits in the plans of Ruben. The stories on Saudi as well. I wanted to bring that one up to date with you. There is some form of mini 3-team tournament that's being talked about where Manchester United could get a cash prize as well if they win. Perhaps an El Halal and El Nazar with Manchester United in a round robin. Both teams play each other, and then obviously there is a prize fund and a winner within this. I don't know how they're going to work it. Is it going to be 2 separate weeks? Are United going to go out and play this game 1 week and then go back out the following midweek to do the next game, and then it's all decided? There is a lot being spoken about at the moment, and there's a lot of reports on how this is going to be structured and what's going to be involved. But again, the sort of finances and figures that are being discussed are that Manchester United could be earning between 10 and 15 million for going out and playing a couple of Saudi Pro League games. Pro League teams in a mini tournament as such, like we did with the Asia Tour at the end of the season. Somewhat very similar, but obviously United would have to split the weeks. So, yeah, how they do it, I don't know. But the talk is 100% there. There is full-on discussions to make this happen now. So, yeah, hold on to your hats for that one. That is definitely around the corner, I feel, anyway. Please pop a like on the video, everybody, as well, if you haven't already, if you're enjoying the content. And please do, obviously, make sure you hit that subscribe button also. Let's get a few more comments in on this one. Moving away, I think part of the problem is central defenders. I think the guy needs to move to midfield and support maybe Euro. Right, so you're saying about a central midfielder stepping forward in that system. Yes, that is a definite, and we've seen the likes of Euro and De Ligt do it already this season. I do believe, and I've said this is when Leacher comes back is where that will happen, and I think, thanks for that super chat, Anchor, as well. I think Leacher will play a big part in Ruben Amorim's season for him. I think he'll be the one that steps forward most of the time when it comes to that extra midfielder anyway. Denton 9111 says Ruben is not flexible enough to incorporate different systems and use the players at hand. Olaf says Maguire didn't get game time at some point under Ten Hag, yet England coach Southgate invited him to the England national team. So if Kobbie Mainoo can't wait, he's still young, then he can leave. Again, that's the chat. That's the question I'm asking everybody. Get them thoughts in. There are far better players not getting into the England team than Kobbie Mainoo. I agree with that one at the moment on form, definitely. Agate and Mainoo should be in midfield, not Casemiro and Bruno. The Agate Mainoo midfield kind of got shown up in the pre-season tour in the USA in a game where they were completely blown away in one move. I think it was against Everton. They struggled big time in that game. That was our worst performance as well in that pre-season tour. So, yeah, I'm not too convinced that is what Ruben is going to play. And I'm not convinced he's convinced by them two as a two in the Premier League. I just don't think they offer enough. I think what he has got there is Bruno also stepping forward and making another option going forward, but can obviously have the energy to get back. Agate doesn't have the quality in the final third or the passing range, and Mainoo doesn't have the engine to get back if he does go forward. you could argue that point there. Well, Lagarde will be there as well, waiting. But you are taking quality away if you don't have Bruno there. Look, I'm not arguing a point for Bruno. The whole situation that we're talking about right now is farcical. How we're deciding amongst these 4 midfielders, one of which shouldn't be there at all. We've only got 3 central midfielders, having loaned out Toby Collier. Right now, I mean, Toby Collier wasn't a good player, but in terms of his style of play, he probably would have suited this system even more than the other players right now, because he doesn't mind sitting deep and controlling the ball and passing out from the back. You could argue his quality, but of course, when you look at the actual profile of player, he probably would be the one that best fit in this system, keeping it neat and tidy and simple and just laying it off to the players that it should be given to try and create something on the break or start a move off. When you've got Bruno there, trying to do Bruno things from the 6th position, that I think is dangerous. Notice how Manchester United went long and bypassed the midfield a lot. And then Bruno came into the game because of his energy getting forward, picking up the second balls, not giving the defence time to settle. Benjamin Sesko is a real weapon for Manchester United. And that might be something that this team does going forward. Because Manchester United in turnover ball, they're very, very dangerous. And we did this an awful lot against Sunderland. Picking up that ball. Yes, they may have won the first ball, Sunderland, off that long ball going up. But United were winning the seconds. And they were able to feed the wider players. If we put Dorgu out on the left and keep Ahmad out on the right-hand side, Manchester United will be a miles better team. Miles better team in this shape. There are obviously certain games that it's not going to work and he might have to put a more defensive player in. But again, when you look at this right now, what you look at here is that Mazraoui is also coming back and he will be fit and available for the Liverpool game according to reports. Does he come right back into that side and then makes us less of an attacking threat and more defensive? I would rather see Mazraoui in the back 3 and keep Ahmad on that right-hand side. We can talk about Ahmad all day, every single day, about his defensive qualities, but the wing-backs are so key to Ruben Amorim's system. And if you've got no attack, then you know that you're going to end up conceding. I would rather take our chances in Ahmad being there and creating something, because Liverpool's wing-backs have pushed forward and we've got Ahmad terrorising them. I think Ahmad's got a better chance of pushing a Kirkez back. And I think Dorgu's got a better chance of pushing a Frimpong back, because they are more adventurous and they will go forward. But if you're putting 2 defensive players there, say a Dalot and a Mazraoui, you're automatically inviting Liverpool onto you. I just hope he doesn't go down that road, because it's kind of like waving the white flag. Yes, we can still pump the ball long to Sesko and pick up the seconds, but I just don't think that quality's there. I don't. I've got nothing against Mazraoui. Dalot I've got an issue with, of course. He should be in a back 4 with someone in front of him. I don't think he's good enough to be a wing-back. And you could say that he might be a better defender than what Dorgu is. Honestly, right now, I don't think he is. I would still play Dorgu ahead of him for defensive purposes. Never mind going forward, because I think Dalot is awful in all departments. Didn't used to be this bad, but he was all right. Now he's not even all right. And he's a big concern for me going into that Liverpool game. I don't want him anywhere near. By the way, everybody, you will see in the live chat, and when it does pop up on your screen as well, our new latest offer for all FUTV subscribers and followers on Match Bingo and Matchday sponsors. We will have this running throughout the international games on Football Talk this week as well. Loads and loads of people in the chat there that have won big on Match Bingo. Your chances there again. 100% deposit booster. Deposit bonus right now. If you put in promo code FUTV into the deposit page on Match Bingo, you will be boosted by 100% instantly. You buy 4 cards, you get a 5th card free as well. That offer is still running for everyone here on Forever United TV. Put in that promo code FUTV. Grab your tickets now for the internationals coming up throughout this week, everybody, and get involved in that. We've had loads of people win already. It is my job to make sure we get as many people winning on Match Bingo as we possibly can, and the offers are there running throughout now all the way up for the rest of this year. So great chance and great opportunities, and the other sports that are on the app as well. You can play historical games right now on there and win as well, but the bonuses involved in the big games are massive. Go and play Match Bingo on these international games. You don't need to do anything. Pick the game you want, how many cards you want, and let the game play it out for you. Have a laugh with your mates and win big at the same time. Thanks again to Match Bingo for that. But yes, FUTV in the promo code, 100% deposit boost on your deposit amounts. Minimum spend £10 on that deposit. Please gamble aware. You have to be 18 plus and a UK resident, everybody, as well. Get onto that now and join the many people that are in the chat this morning that have actually won on the game. All right, last few comments coming in, everybody, before we wrap things up. I like Dalot, but I think when Maz is back, Dalot will be benched. Maz is a top player, but I hope he can stay fit. My concern, Lindsay, with that is that Mazraoui will force Ruben to play Dalot on the left because he likes Dalot. And Dalot always seems to play, no matter how bad. He's another Bruno Fernandes for me, but worse. It doesn't matter what Dalot does and how he performs. He always plays. And that's a big issue for Ruben Amorim for me. That is one thing that I will always hold against Ruben. Stop playing these underperforming players just because you think that they are professional enough and you think that they have shown enough in training. It's what they do on the pitch that you have to look at, surely, as well at sometimes. And he is the worst player we've got at wing-back right now. He's the worst option we have, Dalot, in terms of form. So, yes. Would rather burn my money than give. All right, thanks for that, UK. As a mod as well, mate. He's a sponsor of the channel, buddy. Settle down, mate, on that one. It's not a scam either, mate, by the way. Maybe if Mainoo shaped himself against Grimsby, he'd be in the team. You could say that, John. You could say that. Mainoo needs to perform when he comes in as a sub. He hasn't been brilliant. I understand Bruno hasn't either. I think he needs to be patient. Dalot will start 100%, says Graham. Graham always says that. So you don't need to look at Graham's comment there. It's pretty much what everybody knows. Yes, good news is it's only on loan, so hopefully he gets his chance on his return. I do rate him. That's on Mainoo. Until someone learns to take throw-ins like Dalot after Sesko's goal, he's getting game time. The weapon of the set piece and the throw-in all of a sudden becoming a weapon for Manchester United also. We've become victims of this long throw and we've just adapted it ourselves, haven't we? We've just adopted it and brought it into our own game. And Dalot will be a weapon for Manchester United. Look, like that comment says there, and from Andrew, until someone has mastered the long throw like Dalot has got. I mean, Dalot's isn't the best in the Premier League, but he does manage to get it up there, doesn't he? And we scored a goal from it against Sunderland, which gave us that breathing room. So, well, Sesko's there. Well, we've got the likes of, let's just say, Matthias de Ligt, Sesko in there, sometimes Maguire. If we've got big guys and we can be pumping them balls in, then it is a weapon. Dalot is going to feature for that reason. It's pretty sad that we have to bring him in because he's got a long throw, but that's football these days, isn't it? You have to look at everything. That's it for this morning, everybody. Thank you so much. Please get on to the description as well. Get on to Match Bingo. All of that is there. I will pin the Match Bingo link for you all as well in the top comments as well, in the pinned comment on this video below when we finish. Also, everybody, make sure you pop a like, get your comments in when the video is finished as well. Thank you, mods. Thank you, Super Chats as well this morning. Brilliant show again. I'll be back later with any updates as always. But for now,